I lived in Chicago for decades. And let me give you a scientific fact. You're going to have a better chance to die in Chicago in the cold than you are the heat. I mean, if you took the hottest day in Chicago and I stood in my front yard totally naked, I'm going to survive that easily. Now, I might sweat, I might have to dance around because my feet would be hot, but I'm going to survive that easily. On the other hand, the coldest day in Chicago, listen, if I stood in my front yard naked, going to be dead in minutes. Now, if you take the consensus of science, they would agree with this and they would say more people die from cold throughout the world than heat. They would say that for every single person who dies from directly heat-related causes, 20 will die from direct cold. And so the reason I mention this is because those who are throwing the consistent propaganda at us based on climate change science, that we're all doomed here in a few years, that it's the greatest threat to humanity. I just want to say, wait a second. I mean, there's certain people living in certain climates, warmer temperatures are probably going to save lives. Even more so, there are those areas that will be able to grow more food because of warmer temperatures. And so all of this I say because the answer to the global warming crisis for most people is the federal government. I mean, they put so much trust and faith in the government, and that's our God and our hope. Well, let me throw out a couple of agencies because it's interesting, and they're like God-like agencies too. I mean, these are groups when they say whatever. I mean, we just believe it no matter what. One is the CDC, Center of Disease Control. They're all about disease and death. They're working on the coronavirus right now. The other one is the NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They're all about weather. But here's where they differ on this particular issue. The NOAA says, guess what? In this country alone, more people die from heat than from cold. Whereas the CDC says twice as many people die from cold as do heat. So who do you believe? Now, after living in Chicago, I'm going to lean over to the CDC side without question. But here's the problem. In our politics today, we can't look at things, from a common sense perspective. We can't be unbiased in this. And so we don't know what's going to happen. So for those who thinks we're doomed, they want us to submit right now to the glory and beauty and wonder of taxes and regulations from the government. And that's the only hope we have of saving humanity. Now for those, and by the way, they're going to go with the NOAA, no question, because it fits their narrative. Those on the other side who look at the climate change science and go, okay, whatever. They're going to go with the CDC because that's just the way it works. I just want to remind you, think a little bit before you make your decision on what to believe in, and don't trust the federal government like it's God.